As you know, stretching is a fabulous tool to be used for personal training, and it's especially brilliant at the end of a session. However, there are some considerations that you need to take into account. So the first thing we're going to look at is just where are you going to position your client. Now, it kind of makes sense to make sure that your client is away from a busy area, is in a darker, quieter area of the gym. Always look up to make sure that they're not directly underneath the light in case they feel like they're being in an inquisition. So again, make sure that it's nice on their eyes. Also take into consideration what they're actually wearing. Now in this example, Sian's got some nice tights on, but there will be occasions where people will be wearing short shorts. So just be very mindful of when you are stretching them, that you've positioned themselves so that when you do the stretch, their bodies are facing the wall and not facing out to the rest of the gym. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you some examples of some stretching, and we're going to look at how to actually drape the stretching and how to take into consideration where to put your hands. So Sian's lying here ready to go. Now draping is really important. What draping does is it's just a great way of covering up bits on the body. So it makes it a little bit more professional. At the same time, for you as a trainer, it's really important to make sure that you have a physical barrier between yourself and your client. Your client's going to be sweating a lot, so the last thing that you want to have is other people sweat on you. Now if you do this, say 10 sessions in one day, that's a lot of sweat. So for your safety, put the towel between them and you, and again for a draping perspective, making sure that they're covering up the bits. This is a great big towel, so that's why I always encourage a good big towel. When we do something like the hamstring, for example, if I come up into position here, I will always grab the towel, come underneath, and create this kind of scenario. Can I get to move your hands out to the side, please, Sian? Okay, so you're creating almost like a bit of a wrap. So the first thing is I'm going to show a hamstring stretch. So hand placement, I want my client to be as relaxed as possible. So I'm actually going to move my client into the position that I want. So from here, I'm going to get her to lift up, and what I can do is now I've wrapped her entire leg. So we've created a barrier between herself and myself, and she's still nice and wrapped down here, okay? So what I'm going to do is just position my body. Now, how you position your body against your client is quite dependent upon how tall you are and how tall your client is. Sian's little, like me, so it's actually easy for me to be in a kneeling position. If Sian was a lot taller, I might choose to do the stretch from a standing position, okay? So this is just something you need to figure out once you start PTing with your clients. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the towel between myself and her leg. Hand positions. What I do not want to do is jam or push against the joints. So all I'm trying to do is anchor her leg firmly into me so that I can actually move into the appropriate stretch range, okay? So when I'm doing this, and I'm touching her firmly, but I'm touching her in a way so as to secure her, but it's not creepy. All right, so all I'm going to do is just move her into the stretch, and if I want to, if this leg was coming up off the floor, I can actually anchor her here, or I could also anchor her here and come forward into position. The next example I'm going to show you is a glute stretch, and as you can see, my client Sian is still nicely draped. Really important that when you're moving people into stretches that you take control and you move them into position, because you want your client to stay as relaxed as possible. Something to also consider is using your body weight against theirs to get enough leverage. So again, Sian's quite little, so for me to stretch her, it's quite easy. But if I was dealing with like a 115 kilo rugby player, for example, it's going to be or could possibly be quite hard work. So there's a little trick. So for example, with this glute one, I want to make sure that I've positioned her well, and I actually step across her body and I anchor herself into position. Now that I've got this position, I can actually just add on some tension, and again, all I'm doing here is actually using my body weight against her to create a stretch here at the hip. So you can see how that'd be quite beneficial for someone who's really, really big, or someone like me who's small. How does that feel?
That's cool.
Yep, cool. So again, from here we're going to move out into a third example of a stretch. So again, I step out and I control what I'm doing with my client. can I get you, Sian, to bend your elbow and make a fist? We're going to move into a lower back stretch. And again, my draping still stays the same. So I'm just going to get to move across. Sian, can you please take your knee and put your hand on top of your knee? So I want my client to give me a little bit of work as well, so it's less work for me. I come in behind her sacrum, touch her bony part, and I just get her to move over. Great, and just breathe. Again, you can see she's draped really well, and I'm just using my leverage to leverage against her to create a nice controlled stretch. And in 3, 2, 1, I'll pull you back. Fantastic. Okay, down you come. Something else to consider is the control. You must tell your client exactly what you're doing. So for example, if I was in that stretch and I needed to hold it for 5 seconds, I would say, you are going to hold it for 5 seconds, here we go, and count them down. When stretching with your clients, it's important that they are working with you to get the most out of the stretch. So what you want to do is talk to them about their breathing. They need to start taking long, slow, deep breaths, and as you actually move into a stretch, you ask them to breathe out. So I'll give you an example here with Sian. Can you drop that leg to the ground for me, please, Sian? I'm just going to pick you up. Fantastic, and we're just going to move into a stretch here. Okay, Sian, so all I'm going to do, can you feel that tension through there? Great. I want you to take a nice big deep breath in, and as you breathe out, just relax everything off, and I'm just going to put more tension on you there. That's good. Can you feel that?
I can.
Yep, excellent. And just continue to take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Good. And on the second breath, I'm going to go again. Excellent. Breathe out, and there we go.
Wow. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, relax through there. Bend your knees. Back on the ground. As a trainer, you must be really mindful of how you move your client into the stretch. So please avoid being really jerky and pushing people into a stretch. You must sink into the stretch. At the same time, you must inform your clients that whilst it might be a little bit uncomfortable, they should at no point be feeling pain. So just stretch the person to the end of tension and slight discomfort, but not pain.